consider the request for direction related to curbside waste collection for all residential and collection of extra items. Steve?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here this evening to visit with you a little bit about our residential trash collection and some challenges that we are going to be facing in the very near future. Okay. Where do I... Here. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we're back. Currently, we utilize what we call multi-pack trucks for our residential collection. So basically, a multi-pack truck it's a truck that has an arm on the side to pick up the 96-gallon totes and dump them into the truck, and we also have the open back end, which we can take and throw any extras into the back end of the truck. Currently, we have 8 of those trucks in our fleet, and of those, 5 of them are currently at their anticipated life. Our life is about a 10,000 hour is when we like to rotate those through, and 5 of those are at or above that. 2 are right around the 8,000, and then the last one's kind of about midway. The next trucks that we have is our rear load trucks, and those are the ones that we use for our dumpster collection and for our grass collection in the summer months. And we have 8 of those in the inventory, and 6 of those are right at their lifespan and due for replacement as well. And finally, we have 2 front loads, and those are used for dumpsters. Primarily, that's all you're going to do with them. Those are the ones where you drive into the dumpster, you pick it up, and you dump it overhead, and it goes into the truck that way. So our current city operations right now is on any given day, Monday through Thursday, when we are doing residential collections, we have 5 of those multi-pack trucks out there. And part of that, with that, each one of those multi-pack, we have 1 driver and we have 1 collector. So the driver is the one that drives up, picks up, and goes, operates the arm, puts the can into the truck. And the collectors are there to primarily throw in any extras that are sitting along the curb. And the collector, if there's no extras, there's a little platform on the back that they can stand, that they can kind of ride along up until the next area. If there's a lot of extras, they just kind of walk from house to house. We also still collect in some of the alleys in some of our residents. And right now, we are unable to utilize the 96-gallon containers in the alleyway because the multi-pack truck that we are currently using, the arm extends above the truck and then dumps the can inside in the truck. So as we drive down the alleyways, we have some low-hanging trees, and we also have a lot of power lines. And so we're unable to utilize the arm. So basically the alleys are all manual. Where they just have regular garbage cans, and we take those and we dump them into the back of the truck. And we're also one of the last communities in this state that collect unlimited amount of extras. And so what I mean by that is if you have any extra trash, tree branches, you name it, set it out to the curb, and we'll take it unless it's not the branches aren't bundled into 4-foot sections, and it's anything that the one person can load. So during the summer months, we estimate that approximately 65% of our residents have some sort of extras out there. Most of those extras are grass. They're grass bags that they put to the curb, and of course, we pick them up, we throw them in the truck, and they end up in Site 1, where I really don't like to see the grass because it's recyclable. In the winter months, we estimate that drops down to probably closer to the 10%, because of course there's no grass collections in the winter months. So here is an example of some of the extras that we collect. Now, this was not cleanup week. This was just a normal week in July. And this is what we typically will see on any given day, just in a different neighborhood. Now, of everything that you see here, we picked up everything except for that little refrigerator freezer that was sitting there, because that's got the Freon that can't go into the truck. So that was tagged, but everything else we did pick up, and we took it out to the landfill. So this is a picture of the multi-pack truck. The cost of these trucks were about $450,000. And so as you can see, up in the front by that yellow area, that's where the arm comes out, and it picks up the 96-gallon containers and it dumps them into the top of the truck. And of course, they drive from resident to resident. Very efficient process. However, on the back of the truck is what basically the multi-pack. That is where we can throw any extras. It's like another rear load truck combined into the same truck as the arm on the front. So all of the extras that we collect, they go into the back end of this truck. And there's a little platform right on the back where the operator, the collector, can ride from house to house if there's no additional trash out there. The issue that we're running into is we recently found out that they no longer make this truck. So the operations as we currently see them with all the extras is going to be a little bit more difficult to collect them in the future. This is one of our options. This is what we call a drop frame truck. So they take the chassis and they drop the frame down, and then they put the collection part on the back. The arm comes out and picks up the container just like our multi-pack does. However, there's no ability to throw extras into the rear end. So this photo is a little deceiving, I guess. Right above the yellow, there's a big square door. That door actually opens up when you're doing the collection. So you're not lifting the cans as high and dumping them in. So it has a little bit lower operations. And then right below that, there's another little door that can be opened up for an operator to throw some additional extras into the truck. The problem is it's not designed for an operator and a collector, because the arm that you use to pick up the can is directly in front of that opening. So if we had our operators pick up extras and wanting to throw them directly into the truck, if for some reason that operator moved in the cab and accidentally hit one of the joystick levers, that could take that arm and run that into our employee. And so it's not real conducive to picking up extras. If we were going to pick up extras with this truck, it would probably be better to dump the original can, throw the extras into the can, redump the can a second or possibly a third or fourth, depending upon how many extras are sitting out there. And as you saw from the photo, not a lot of the extras that we had been picking up would fit in the can and be able to be dumped into this truck. Now, the cost of this drop frame is about $330,000, so substantially less than the multi-pack that we were actually purchasing. Another option is the regular frame truck, and basically it does the exact same thing as the drop frame, except it's at a higher stance. So the arm comes out, picks up the can, and it throws it up a little bit higher into the truck. So it's not operating as low to the ground. So if we would want to put any extras into this truck, we would have to dump the can, put any extras back into the can, and then redump the can once again. The cost of this one is about $300,000, so approximately $150,000 less than what we were paying for the multi-pack truck. Another thing that we were running into is our alley collections. And since we were unable to use the arm trucks in the alleys because of the height and the overhead power lines, we were doing all the alley collections, we still are, manually. And so we don't have the 96-gallon containers in the alleys. We just have residential garbage cans. And they're not in any particular location. We just go along the alleys and pick them up. So this photo that you're seeing is actually a video. That was taken last winter when we had all our snow. And as you can see, the driver has to hold on to the truck to get up that 4-foot snowbank. And of course, he's having a little bit of fun with it. But then he's got to go down, grab those 2 cans, bring them back over that snowbank, dump them in the truck, and then take those cans back over that snowbank once again, place them where they were, and then go back over that snowbank once again to go on the way to the next home. So what we would like to do is we would like to move everything to a curbside pickup. Unless for some reason it's prohibitive because, if there's some steps in the front yard, of course you can't roll a 96-gallon container down there. We'd have to maintain those in the alleyways. Or if it's another area where it's really high traffic and we can't set those cans out on the street, like an example for that would maybe be in front of Bismarck High School on the one ways there. In those areas, we would probably continue to do the alley pickup, but for the most part, we would like to move everything curbside if at all possible. So what are some options moving forward? Well, we put together a list of 6 different options that we could consider. The first option would be continue to take the extras, and then, like I talked, dump the original can, throw any extras into the new can, and then redump that can a second or maybe a third time, depending upon how much is actually there. This option would greatly increase our time, our operations from what we currently do today, because currently they can grab several bags, they throw them into the back of the truck, and they move on to the next location. The second option that we came up with was continue to take the extras, but then we would have to send a second rear load truck through the neighborhoods and pick up those extras. Now, this option would require that we have an additional truck running out, so we'd actually have 2 trucks going through each neighborhood. We'd have to purchase some more trucks, and we'd also have to hire more operators. Because we need an operator and a collector in the one truck, and we need an operator in the other truck emptying the cans. The third option would be that we would no longer accept extras, and that residents could take any extra trash to the landfill, and of course a fee for that disposal would apply. The fourth option would be we no longer accept extras, but residents could purchase a separate bag. And they could purchase that bag, they could set it beside their garbage can. We would come along, we would empty the normal can, then the driver would get out, take that bag, put it into the empty can, and then redump it, and then move on to the next location. Then we came up with a fifth option, which would be allowing the resident to, we wouldn't accept extras, but then we would allow the resident to have a second can. And so therefore we would dump the first can, we'd drive ahead 4 feet, and we dump the second can. This one, we anticipate that there would be a fee, some sort of a fee for that second can. What it would be, we would work with the budget committee on that. Or the option 6 is that we would no longer take the extras, but we would implement items 3, 4, and 5 all simultaneously. So if someone had a lot of extras, they could take them out to the landfill. If it was a rare occasion that they have a few extras, they could purchase that bag and they could set it beside the garbage can, and we would take that. Or if they are a large family and they had quite a bit of trash, they could actually have that second can if they wanted to. We feel that by not taking the extras, I think we would, and if you had the bag system, I think people will be a lot more efficient with what they are throwing away, or especially with the grass, because we do have the grass dumpsters out there, and maybe a lot more of the grass would end up into the dumpster areas. So we are here to basically get your feedback and hopefully make a decision on how we want to move forward. After weighing all the options and looking at what other communities across the state and even the other parts of the country are doing, my recommendation would be actually option 6, is that we no longer move forward with the extras. Some of the benefits is we wouldn't need that extra collector out there. We believe we could keep the costs a lot lower moving into future years. Right now, if the $150,000 difference between the standard truck and the multi-pack that we currently are utilizing, that would equate to a savings of $1.2 million right there alone. We would need fewer employees as we move into the future, because we're only going with the one employee per truck. And the trucks would be a lot lighter. So when you have that multi-pack, that rear mechanism, there's a lot of extra weight hanging out the back of that truck. And then on that extra weight plus all the garbage that we're putting into the truck, there's a lot of weight that's going on our city streets. And so if we didn't have that extra weight, I think we would be able to see some savings in the damage that we're actually doing to some of the city streets as well. And then I do believe that folks would be a little bit more conservative, and we'd have a lot less grass going into the site 1 where we really don't want it. We'd rather recycle that and compost it. So with that, I would try to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Marquardt.
Mayor and Commissioner Steve, so we've talked about having different trucks for quite a few years, probably ever since I started on the commission here. But one of the things that we were told in the past is that for a landfill, you need some of that material, the grass material in there to help, as far as any of the breaking it down and also creating, methane possibly in the future. So with your mention here as far as no grass clippings, first, what are your thoughts on that? Second is that some of the individuals or citizens aren't able to take grass to the landfill, either physically unable to, don't have the vehicles to be able to, take it there. So that's also with some of the extras as well, would be the same thought on that. One of the things, and I'll ask Kurt to come up later as far as just some different things with the truck. One of the other things that you didn't mention, Steve, is, and I think we've probably done it a while back, but have you taken a look or thought as far as the collection side, if we bid that out to other trash collectors or companies within the city?
So I'll start with your first question on if we remove all the grass. We are never going to remove all the grass. And the reason I say that is we have the dumpsters out there, and most people are very conscientious and they listen to the rules and they put the grass only in there. But you have others that throw bags in there, throw garbage in there, throw logs in there, and we don't pick through that. That ends up down in Site 1.
Okay.
And so we are going to still continue to get grass down in Site 1. I just don't know any way around it. Unless everybody starts abiding by the rules, we are going to get grass down in Site 1. As far as have we looked at privatizing our collection? No, we have not. We have not looked at that. Even the private collectors that I'm aware of, they do not take extras. I've heard that certain ones, of course, they won't pick it up at all. Other ones, if they do have something beside it, they'll tack on a $20 fee for that pickup. And so we didn't look at that option right now. If it's something that you would like us to look at, we definitely could. But at this point, we have not looked at that.
Okay. One of the things, as you said, as far as the extras, and I know we do a couple times a year as far as, city cleanup, but there be an option as far as instead of charging a fee for, some of those residents, if we could expand a few different days or maybe once a month, you could take out yours for, not having a fee charged to it so that we make sure that, that is getting taken care of instead of just sitting in the backyard or something like that, waiting for a vehicle or someone to haul it out for them.
That is something we definitely could look at. We would have to look at what that would do to the revenues for the landfill, of course, because it is an enterprise fund, and we do have, so it's self-supporting. And so whatever we don't, let me back up a minute. On the residential collection side, is typically subsidized from the disposal side. And so when I calculate the amount that we are charging our residents for the curbside disposal, right now our landfill disposal fees are about $55, or are $55 a ton. When I go back and I calculate how much we're actually charging our residents for that same disposal, it's right around the $5 a ton. So we are subsidizing the collection side from the disposal side. So if we open it up even more, then I would have to do an accounting balance to make sure that things are still going to be operating in the black out there.
The reason I ask is we're not charging for extras right now. That's part of the curbside.
Correct.
So that's the reason I asked. Thanks, Steve.
I have a question regarding if we're having this extra bag, like where would that be purchased from? How's that handled? How convenient would it be for a resident to secure that bag? Because I would imagine it's got to be something that, from a spec standpoint, that you'd be looking at. Couldn't be just a normal plastic trash bag.
Mayor, commissioners, I know other communities currently do that. I think they purchase them from a particular vendor, and then you set your fee for that bag. And it's a certain size. It has the logo on it, and so you can't just set any bag there. There's different ways you could do that. They could purchase that from Public Works. It's a possibility that we could work with some local vendors and get them into the grocery stores and stuff that, of course, they'd probably want to tack on a little additional fee for handling it. But I think there's ways of getting those bags out there.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Just to piggyback on what Steve had to say, because obviously we've had a couple of different conversations about this, but primarily option 4 and option 5, and then therefore option 6, like the concepts about the bags as well as the second can stuff, those are completely, they're pulled from other communities. Obviously, we're one of the only communities in North Dakota that still takes extras or unlimited extras or whatever it might be. So, I mean, we're not making these, ideas up. They're just what works in other communities. If we don't want to be super strict in our switch from not being able to take extras, as option 3 would be, can we give people other ways around it who are, going to struggle with switching to not being able to have extras out there, because it will be a big change for some people. And so we're just trying to see like how other communities accommodate and when they've had to make that change, because so many of them have. I think we had conversations about it probably last year, kind of almost right as Steve was getting going with some of his stuff, but the inability to get the truck has kind of made our pace a little faster, and obviously the expense of the collections was kind of the start of the conversation, as having more employees, bigger trucks, that sort of thing was kind of the starting point of the conversation. But not being able to get the truck is kind of what's led us to, okay, now it's not maybe in the future we can talk about not doing extras. Now it's kind of like, now we're going to have to, because of this truck issue, we're going to have to talk about what it really looks like to not do extras. So.
Commissioner Marquardt.
Mayor, Kurt, can you come up a little bit? I just got a couple questions on some of the trucks, and you and I have talked about a little bit this in the past as well. So Kurt, when, as far as the information that was provided, you had, 12,000 hours. So roughly, people will take a look at that and think right off the bat, you're not correlated to how many miles. So how many miles roughly do some of those trucks have on them?
Oh, boy. That's a tough call. As far as miles on those, we're probably pushing 200,000 in-town miles.
Right, and that might correlate a little bit better than just the 12,000 hours. I mean,
Right.
As far as people are going to think about their car and their vehicle and that, but then also the wear and tear. So is it the truck chassis that are wearing out, or is it just the boxes alone that take the biggest beating on these, or?
Well, currently, it all depends on what truck you're talking about, but currently with the multi-pack unit, if we got 4,500 hours out of the rails, from 0 to 5,000 hours, we were doing good. We have to redo those rails, maybe do have to do some repairs on the arm itself. This is historically. So our target was always 10,000 hours, so we wouldn't have to do those major repairs of $3,000-4,000 in those, on the floor rails. And then the arms, that's when we took the major hit, where we had to basically replace the entire thing. So that was our target. The problem is, I haven't been able to source trucks for three and a half years. Mm-hmm. And that's where the bubble is caused. That's why you're seeing those numbers well above our target of 10,000 hours. I plan to dispose or retire those trucks. We look at these trucks at 8,000, 8,500 hours. Okay, we put them in a reserve. Get another one, trying to get that cycle happening to where, okay, we get them in reserve, we get that extra 1,500 hours on them. At 10,000 hours, they're off our docket. We sell them off. And, these multi-pack trucks, we've been running them for, probably 2007, 2008. And they were when we moved into the cans for the community, that was a great concept for our operations to continue to pick up garbage relatively quick and still provide that extra ability to pick up extras. And it's always been, I don't know, I've always kind of noticed that as we're going through, so at some point in time, this is going to become difficult to source this truck because it was such a narrow market truck. And they were available up until 2 years ago, and the market's so narrow, they pulled out of the market. So there really isn't anything else out there on the market to to provide that same level of service of can grabber and a rear load truck.
So Kurt, since we can't get the multi-pack truck, so you got the drop frame that you show here, which is, and then the regular frame truck. So as far as the weight difference, the regular frame truck and the multi-pack, they're just a little bit lighter then, since you don't have all that
Yes,
heavy
they're
weight?
actually quite lighter because there's a lot less of the operational material, especially in the back end of those trucks.
So if we go to a alley pickup as well, of course the drop frame truck would work better, but with this way that the arm is on the regular frame truck, can we do alleyways with those as well, or do we need to visit with the city forester and clean some of those up?
No, the trucks that we're looking at to do our replacement with they operate in a very low arc, and don't actually get above the truck body itself. So may need to trim up a few trees, that sort of thing. They keep growing back all the time, so
Okay, thank you, Kurt.
you bet.
Oh, one other, is there options to lease some of these at all, or is it just a straight purchase?
Yeah, we can look at leasing options, cost-wise, maintenance, and get included maintenance costs throughout the history of the asset. One problem you have with leasing and the vendor you have to go through is you're actually tying two purchases together. You either do it through a truck vendor or a box builder or a refuge company to build that, and you got to run the lease through those people. So it's an option. It's an option.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Commissioners? Direction?
Well, Mayor, Commissioners, I mean, we've picked up extras forever. I don't know, I just go down my neighborhood and the grass thing, I know that a couple neighbors do throw their grass off to the side or whatever, and we scoop it up and go. But I also don't think that those same neighbors can actually pick that grass up and throw it in the can, because it's a little bit too tall. So I'm kind of torn, to be honest with you. I would still like to see us pick up some extras, maybe not as much as what was in this picture, since it wasn't cleanup week or whatever. That looks a little excessive, but I mean, one or two things here or there once in a while I don't think are a big deal. So, but that's my opinion. So I don't have any direction, because we're not getting these trucks tomorrow, right? What's the lead time? Have we ordered any of the new trucks yet? A couple of years, I would guess.
Commissioner, Mayor, Commissioner, we do have some trucks on order. We did actually have one of the drop ones actually came in today. We had that one on order before, but
2020 or what?
22.
22?
It was a 22, and so 2 years later. But yes, we do have some trucks on order, but we kind of have them on hold because we're kind of in limbo.
Commissioner
Mayor,
Markler?
Commissioner Steve, are you looking at maybe possibly phasing this in instead of just an all-out with some of them?
It doesn't have
or-
to be today, but once the new trucks start coming in, we're going to have to start implementing, because if we do option, if we continue to pick up the extras, we're going to have to throw them into the can and redump. It will be a lot more inefficient for us. What I was looking at is I wanted to bring this to you. I was thinking more of along the lines of maybe 2025 is when we implement this. So we continue on through this year, and then in 25 we would move to the no extras. Because at that point, I think we're going to start seeing some additional trucks show up.
Right, Mayor, Commissioners, Commissioner Cleary, have you guys talked or had a discussion as far as putting a survey out, as far as what the citizens may think, as far as, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we need to go, what are some of your thoughts and your options, as far as to get some buy-in from
I mean,
Or citizens.
we haven't had that discussion. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think that we wanted to come here first and see if there was an option that you guys thought was absolutely not an issue, or either let's absolutely go with this, or let's take these ones off the table type of thing. I think that it would be really beneficial to have to do some form of surveying or conversation with citizens, as far as like, if we're not gonna be taking extras, which do you envision yourself utilizing? Do you like the idea of being able to get specific bags? Do you like the idea of being able to purchase a second can? And I think that some of this is just gonna come with an education piece, because it's not as if, I mean, in a perfect world, if we could still get these trucks, we wouldn't be looking at this change, or we wouldn't be looking at it now. So I think that there's going to be some of that comes with it. Well, why can't we continue to pick up extras? I mean, I think that the rationality with option 1 and 2, which is just the amount of extra time and extra staff that'll go into that version of picking up extras, is really going to end up costing a lot of money.
Right, and I didn't know for sure if there's, certain areas of town where you see less extras except for just, during cleanup weeks or whatever, or if it's just kind of all scattered throughout, so. That's why I was thinking of the
Yeah.
phased-in area thing, or.
And I don't know.
These trucks are only gonna be in these areas, and we can't pick up extras, and
Right, and then you don't want to phase it in too slowly, because if there's one area of town that still gets their extras picked up and another area of town that doesn't, then
Yep.
then we have the whole "my street never gets plowed first" conversation
Right.
in a different version. So, we'd have to have. I mean, and like he said, it's not like we're going to be needing to implement it tomorrow. So we could, over the next 6 months, have more conversations. Steve and I and Toby can have more conversations, and come back to you as far as how we envision implementing or rolling that out. And if we think that there's some value in, kind of citizen outreach and input, we could do some of that too. It's not like we don't have the time. So, I mean, we've got a little bit of time before we have to
I think it would be-
start doing it.
I think it'd be best if we just also had asked, see where
Yeah.
they're at, because like you said, at some point, we're gonna have to do something different.
Right. And everybody's situation is different, right? Like I live alone. I never have extras. Not many people in my neighborhood have extras. I think that's different depending on the area of town you're in. And so hearing the perspective from those citizens as to which scenario, as far as like bags or can, or, like what works best for them, I think would be good.
Biggest thing with the bags is I see is we got trash cans that blow around in the, as well. So I mean, all of a sudden now we got a bag or another can that we have to
Yeah.
keep track of as
The one
citizens
thing
as
I
well.
like about being able to offer both options, like he lays out in option 6, is that there's going to be instances where there are citizens that the bags work better for because they just have a bunch of trash like 1 or 2 times a year, right? And then there's going to be other citizens that can fill 2 cans every single trash pickup. So one way might work better for one person versus another, or be more cost effective. Like, oh, I just need to go buy 6 bags for this one time, versus having a second can all year round, So I think there's probably some perks of having both options, but I think some citizen input would be good.
I would also wonder, when it comes to the grass collections, if we might not need to look at locations for those sometimes. Not always the most convenient, which might lead to additional extras during the summer. I don't know. I know they're hard, it's hard
It's all
because,
based on perception. I don't have a problem where mine's located.
well, I know where yours is located.
'Cause you use it.
Because I use it.
Yeah, there would be something that we would have to look at, though, you're right, is
Just-
that we would have to have additional dumpsters.
Yeah, just
I mean, in the
because,
fall, those things
yeah.
fill up, with
Yeah.
leaves and stuff like that, but
So I think
And
that might be part of the
I
additional.
think that's another
survey.
conversation to be had, if we're removing this portion of the service, how are we balancing it out? If that means there should be more grass dumpsters, I mean, I think that's something we can talk about. I would imagine that it's cheaper to do that than to continue to collect extras, so,
And really, Mayor and Commissioner, it's no different than when we made the decision to get rid of the public recycles, because they weren't putting recyclable materials in there. I mean, there was
Yep.
right.
bowling balls and tires and things you're not supposed to put in there. So abuse became a problem, and to get rid of the abuse, we got rid of the option. Now you have to take it out to the landfill, so.
Does that give some direction for you, or do you need more?
I mean, I'm happy to continue to work on this with Steve and Toby, and we can talk about how we would go about doing some kind of survey, and also kind of try to look at what our timeline looks like as far as when we would start to need to start using the new trucks, and, you know, is a slower rollout better, or would it be better to, you know, to not have that be slow as far as, you know, how that looks for certain neighborhoods. I mean, we can continue those conversations and circle back to you guys if that sounds best.
I think that would work.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.